The past half a century, an ancient army of warriors has been quietly conquering the world. Wherever small battalions of China's famous terracotta warriors are.
China's entombed warriors are part of one of the greatest archaeological discoveries of modern times.
The discovery of the Terracotta Army in 1974 by farmers digging a well near Xi'an, China, marked one of the greatest archaeological finds of the 20th century. For decades, this underground army of more than 8,000 life-sized warriors, horses, and chariots has mystified scholars, historians, and archaeologists alike. Created to guard the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, the Terracotta Army is a symbol of ancient China's power, ambition, and relentless pursuit of immortality. But despite its grandeur and importance, a veil of mystery has long shrouded the precise methods of its creation, the rationale behind its incredible scale, and the identities of the craftsmen who constructed it. Recent breakthroughs, however, have finally unraveled some of the most perplexing questions, sending shockwaves through both the academic world and the global community. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. For years, speculation ran rampant regarding how such a vast and meticulously detailed army could have been produced over 2,000 years ago. Each soldier appears unique with distinct facial features, hairstyles, armor, and postures. Some believe the answer lay in mass production combined with modular artistry, while others theorized about an ancient form of sculptural assembly line manufacturing. Still, the question persisted. How could artisans from a relatively early stage of civilization craft something so vast, so organized, and so human-like, all without modern tools or machinery? The latest revelations have come from a confluence of advanced technologies, including ground-penetrating radar, high-resolution 3D scanning, and chemical analysis of the clay and pigments. These tools have allowed researchers to peer into the very molecular structure of the statues and the earth surrounding them. What they discovered has changed the narrative entirely. It turns out that the Terracotta Army wasn't just the product of a centralized state demanding tribute through labor. It was something much more intricate and globally influenced than previously imagined. One of the most startling findings is the presence of materials and techniques that do not originate in ancient China. Chemical analysis of the clay reveals traces of elements that are native to regions much farther west, suggesting that some of the resources or knowledge came from distant lands. Even more intriguing, the style and anatomical precision of the sculptures bear uncanny similarities to Hellenistic art, which flourished under Alexander the Great and his successors in the Mediterranean world. For centuries, these two ancient civilizations were believed to have developed in relative isolation, separated by thousands of miles and daunting geographical barriers. But the new evidence challenges that notion entirely. Further investigation uncovered skeletal remains near the site that possess DNA markers not typical of Han Chinese populations, but instead resemble those found in ancient populations from the Middle East and parts of Europe. This opens up the extraordinary possibility that artisans or craftsmen from the West may have traveled eastward far earlier than previously documented, possibly even centuries before the Silk Road was formally established. If these individuals did participate in constructing the Terracotta Army, it would represent the first known instance of such long-distance cultural and technical exchange, rewriting our understanding of pre-modern global connectivity. Adding to the amazement is the recent deciphering of several carved symbols and marks on the inner surfaces of the warriors, ones that were previously dismissed as meaningless scribbles or production codes. Using a combination of linguistic analysis and AI pattern recognition, experts have determined that many of these symbols correspond to names, titles, or specific roles within a guild-like structure. These discoveries indicate that the creation of the Terracotta Army involved a complex hierarchical organization of artists, sculptors, potters, and engineers working under a remarkably coordinated system. This points to a level of industrial sophistication and workforce management that had not been fully appreciated until now. The sheer organizational challenge of producing such a massive army is mind-boggling. Consider the logistics. Thousands of figures, each with individualized features, crafted from local clay, then fired in massive kilns, painted with vivid pigments, and strategically arranged in battle formations within subterranean vaults. Recent studies using thermal imagery have identified several such kilns that were located close to the site, complete with advanced airflow systems that allowed for controlled heating, another technological feat thought to be ahead of its time. One of the most profound implications of these findings is the reconsideration of Emperor Qin Shi Huang's vision and strategic genius. Already recognized as a transformative figure in Chinese history, Qin's ambitions now appear even more extraordinary. The emperor wasn't merely aiming to impress or intimidate his successors with grandeur. He was possibly attempting to construct a spiritual kingdom that mirrored his real-world empire, populated with defenders who could protect him in the afterlife with the same vigor they displayed in life. The army was not a static display of power. It was a metaphysical stronghold, crafted with both earthly authority and otherworldly ambition. And the use of colors, once vibrant and now mostly faded, has also been re-examined. New imaging technologies have allowed scientists to reconstruct what the army looked like when it was first buried. Far from being the monochrome figures seen today, the soldiers were painted in dazzling hues of blue, red, purple, and green. The pigments used included rare compounds, some of which would have required a high level of chemical knowledge to extract and stabilize. The implication is that ancient Chinese scientists had access to a chemical toolkit that was remarkably advanced and may have even been aided by knowledge brought in from outside regions. Even the way the figures were buried reveals insights into Qin dynasty religious beliefs and cosmology. The formation of the troops, facing eastward with weapons poised, suggests a symbolic readiness to defend against spiritual threats rather than earthly enemies. There are subterranean rivers of mercury, channels of liquid metal, and pressure-sensitive traps rumored to exist within the central tomb, which has yet to be fully excavated due to preservation concerns. These traps may have been constructed to protect the tomb from intruders both human and supernatural. While these elements have long been subjects of folklore, recent scanning suggests they may indeed be real, adding a mystical layer to the already astounding sight. The unraveling of the Terracotta Army mystery also casts new light on the role of individual laborers and their contributions. For centuries, the creation of the army was attributed to forced labor, or conscription. But these new discoveries show signs of pride, artistry, and signature markings. Signs that the creators may not have been anonymous slaves, but rather respected specialists, artisans whose legacy has lasted over 2 millennia. Their presence, enshrined in the minute details of posture, gaze, and gesture, speaks to a society that valued craftsmanship on a monumental scale. With each new revelation, the Terracotta Army transitions from being a static archaeological marvel to a living chronicle of human ingenuity and intercultural collaboration. It has become a nexus point, a place where myths meet facts, and where the convergence of cultures has left its indelible fingerprint. The idea that Chinese and Western civilizations may have interacted in such depth so early in history reframes not only ancient Chinese narratives but also global historical timelines. A deeper understanding of this ancient masterpiece now forces us to rethink how knowledge traveled across continents. It wasn't just silk and spices moving along hidden trails. It was ideas, artistry, techniques, and people. The possibility that this exchange could have influenced the Terracotta Army suggests that globalization, far from being a modern invention, had roots that reach back much further than anyone had imagined. It speaks to a common human impulse: to create, to preserve, and to transcend mortality through art. What astonishes most is how much of the site still remains untouched. The central tomb of Emperor Qin, for example, is still sealed, largely due to fears of damaging its contents. Early descriptions from ancient texts tell of ceilings adorned with celestial constellations, rivers of mercury flowing like real water, and elaborate models of his empire. Recent scans confirm unusually high levels of mercury in the soil above the tomb, which supports these accounts. And if the outer chambers have yielded such wonders, one can only speculate what lies within the heart of the tomb itself. Even the implications for understanding early governance and statecraft are profound. The sheer scale of the project indicates a centralized bureaucracy capable of coordinating materials, labor, logistics, and artistic oversight on a previously unimaginable scale. This wasn't the work of a despot issuing simple commands. It was the orchestration of a vast administrative machine, one that could mobilize entire regions in service of a vision that blurred the line between state ideology and personal immortality. The precision and innovation found in the Terracotta Army also suggest an early scientific curiosity. The tools used to shape and mold the figures, the pigments engineered to last for centuries, and the structural engineering of underground vaults. These were not merely artistic accomplishments. They reveal a civilization deeply invested in experimentation, adaptation, and excellence. In fact, some modern engineers studying the underground layout have remarked on its resilience, noting that despite centuries of earthquakes and floods, the chambers remain remarkably intact. One might also consider the psychological dimension. By commissioning such a grand project, Emperor Qin not only sought protection in the afterlife, but also cemented his presence in the collective memory of future generations. His Terracotta Army wasn't merely a personal monument, it was a psychological message to posterity, that his reign, his empire, and his vision were eternal, and perhaps in that respect, he succeeded. Because now, over 2,000 years later, the world continues to stand in awe of what he built, not just physically but ideologically. The resolution of the mystery surrounding the Terracotta Army has not diminished its allure. It has only deepened it. With every layer peeled back, more questions emerge. Who were the Western artisans? How did they arrive in China? Were there other cross-cultural collaborations that history has erased? Could similar undiscovered wonders lie beneath the soil of other ancient empires? The answers to these questions may one day surface, but for now, the Terracotta Army stands as a testament to a moment in time when ambition, artistry, and cross-cultural synergy combined to produce one of humanity's most enduring legacies. This shocking culmination of years of research and discovery invites not only admiration but introspection. It serves as a reminder that history is never static, and that even the most ancient of wonders may still hold secrets waiting to be revealed. The Terracotta Army was once entombed to serve a single emperor. Now its story belongs to the world. Beyond the revelations already uncovered, the Terracotta Army continues to yield insights that stretch the imagination and redefine the complexity of ancient Chinese civilization. The newly unearthed evidence has prompted researchers to re-examine not just the army itself, but the entire necropolis it occupies, a sprawling network of underground chambers, ceremonial halls, administrative buildings, and symbolic landscapes that may together form the most elaborate funerary complex ever constructed. Excavations in recent years have revealed additional pits containing figures not previously known to exist. While the primary pits contain infantry, archers, cavalry, and charioteers, these new areas are home to non-combatant figures, acrobats frozen mid-performance, musicians with sculpted instruments, and civil officials holding scrolls or ink tablets. These additions suggest that the emperor's afterlife was envisioned not solely as a battlefield, but as a continuation of courtly life, culture, and governance. The afterworld, as imagined by the Qin, was not a passive resting place. It was an active kingdom where politics, ceremony, and spectacle persisted eternally. This broader vision of the afterlife reveals a nuanced philosophy rooted in the convergence of legalist and early Taoist principles. The emperor was not merely interested in conquest beyond death, but in preserving the full apparatus of the state. The presence of scholars and entertainers among the army shows an awareness of the intangible power of knowledge, ritual, and symbolism. Their inclusion underlines a belief that social order and imperial hierarchy needed to be mirrored in the next world as meticulously as it was in the current one. One of the more astonishing aspects of the recent findings is the complexity of the subterranean architecture. The underground environment wasn't carved haphazardly but engineered with precision. Multi-level corridors, reinforced chamber walls, concealed ventilation shafts, and even primitive hydraulic systems point to an astonishing level of architectural foresight. These systems ensured stable air circulation and controlled humidity to protect the figures and structures for centuries. Such foresight challenges conventional views of early Chinese engineering capabilities, indicating that Qin-era architects understood principles of environmental management to an advanced degree. As archaeologists have expanded their explorations beyond the main tomb complex, they have also discovered evidence of large-scale infrastructure projects associated with the construction. Massive roads, quarries, and workshops have been identified across several square miles, suggesting that the building of the mausoleum involved not only thousands of laborers, but also extensive logistical planning. Temporary cities may have been erected to house and feed the workforce, complete with marketplaces, communal kitchens, and temples for spiritual rituals. This temporary but highly organized urbanization mirrors the mobilization strategies used in modern mega projects, illustrating the incredible administrative reach of the Qin dynasty. Further analysis of the tools used by craftsmen offers clues into the technological innovation of the time. Bronze chisels, stone molds, and advanced firing techniques for kilns demonstrate not only technical know-how, but an understanding of material science that was previously underappreciated. Certain tools bear microscopic grooves and patterns, indicating that they were repeatedly sharpened and maintained, possibly by a specialist class of toolkeepers. These artisans likely formed part of a tightly coordinated industrial network, where tasks were delegated with almost assembly line efficiency. As more figures are restored, the stylistic differences between them have sparked new discussions among historians. While each soldier appears individualized, emerging analysis now shows that these variations may not have been purely artistic. Instead, they appear to follow distinct regional and ethnic templates. The armor styles, facial features, and body builds seem to correspond to soldiers drawn from different parts of the Qin Empire. Some from the mountainous west, others from the river valleys, and still others possibly from the far southern provinces. This mosaic of styles suggests that the Terracotta Army was intentionally crafted to represent a unified but diverse empire, reinforcing Qin Shi Huang's legacy as the first unifier of China. Linguistic studies of character markings on the inner bases of some statues have also provided astonishing insight. These inscriptions aren't merely names but codes indicating rank, origin, and workshop. Decoding these symbols has revealed a meticulous inventory system. Every figure, it seems, was cataloged, tracked, and assigned a place with purpose. This level of bureaucracy, embedded into a project that took years to complete, reveals the imperial obsession with order and record-keeping, a feature that would go on to define much of Chinese imperial administration in later dynasties. Another surprising element to emerge from the ongoing exploration is the auditory design of the tomb environment. Acoustics experts studying the chamber layout have determined that certain vaults amplify sound in particular ways. This raises the possibility that sound played a ceremonial role in the tomb's function, whether for rituals, announcements, or even performances meant to resonate through the afterlife. The natural resonance of the chambers could have been manipulated to enhance the otherworldly aura of the burial site, transforming it into a theater of immortality. As technology continues to push the boundaries of what can be discovered without physically disturbing the site, researchers have employed Muon tomography and magnetic imaging to create detailed subterranean maps. These scans have revealed yet unopened vaults, circular sanctums, and step terraces buried deep beneath the surface. Some of these structures appear entirely separate from the main tomb, indicating that the mausoleum may extend far beyond what is currently visible. If this is the case, then the known army is just one piece of a much larger and even more intricate spiritual kingdom. While the figures themselves have always attracted attention for their lifelike qualities, newer investigations have turned to their postures, formations, and battle readiness. Military historians and tacticians analyzing the layout of the formations have concluded that these were not randomly arranged figures, but exact representations of real battlefield strategies used by the Qin army. The units are positioned in a manner consistent with historical battle tactics, suggesting that the creators of the army collaborated closely with military strategists to ensure an authentic representation of imperial strength. The weapons originally placed in the soldiers' hands, many now missing, were, in their time, state-of-the-art. What has been recovered includes crossbows with trigger mechanisms that would not be surpassed for centuries, along with bronze swords coated in a chromium compound that prevented rust. This chromium coating discovery had previously puzzled metallurgists, as it was thought impossible for such knowledge to have existed at the time. Recent research suggests that the process may have been discovered accidentally, but its consistent application implies it was adopted systematically once its benefits were observed. This again reflects a society quick to adapt, experiment, and institutionalize technological advances. The motivations behind such extraordinary innovation are rooted in the emperor's unique vision of power. Qin Shi Huang did not see himself merely as a ruler, but as a divine figure, one whose authority extended beyond the boundaries of life. The army, the tomb, and the rituals surrounding them were extensions of this worldview. Each statue, each chamber, each ceremony was a brick in the metaphysical architecture of a regime that saw no distinction between the material and spiritual worlds. His reign was a divine mandate not just in life, but in the eternal cycle of existence. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on the Terracotta Army mystery? What do you expect happened? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.